Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Wrestle Region with me, TheOnlyLozza. And before I get into this video and sort of the content about it, I'm just going to sort of tell you a bit about my background. I used to do a bit of YouTubing a while ago. I was about 16, 17, so like about 10 years ago. It was like a sort of multi-man YouTube channel. I think it was called the Wrestling Daily Show, where we had like our own sort of slots and had our own sort of like programs where we talked about the WWE and TNA, whatever was going on. And yeah, and that sort of died down after about 6 months. I was going to college, went to university, and it went quite well, but, I had other things going on. And I always thought, over the last sort of, 10 years or so, I've always thought about maybe coming back to do my own sort of WWE YouTube thing. But there's not really been anything I've really, really wanted to talk about. Like, I feel like WWE sort of goes from, the last 10 years have kind of gone from good, okay, really, 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 really bad, okay, hopeful, down the shitter, and I think it's just like it's got a bit that way. But this whole draft thing, anyway, I'm going to talk about the draft stuff. Before I go to that, actually, I've had some experience in the wrestling promotions and stuff in the UK. I've done a bit of wrestling myself, a few years ago now, and I got a bit of a bad injury, and after that I was managing a women's wrestler actually. So yeah, I kind of got a bit of insider sort of knowledge of how the business works and stuff. Not really with the WWE. But anyway, I want to talk about the draft last night, the WWE draft. I was really surprised about how negative people are being about this draft. I mean, was it perfect? No. There were things that I didn't agree with and should have been different. But I don't think it was as bad as everyone says. Well, people are saying, told you this was going to be an epic fail with the draft. It's like people just want it to fail. People seem to, they're not happy unless they're bitching and moaning. And it's just like, rather than giving it a chance, like a fair chance, they're just sort of saying, no, it's failed, it's shit. And I don't think that's right. Like, but before I go into that anyway, I feel like we really should give this brand split a chance. Like, is the Raw roster better than the SmackDown roster? Yeah, but like, is the SmackDown roster been completely buried and absolutely terrible? No, I don't think it's that like some people say. If you were to say before the draft SmackDown were going to get John Cena, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, and Dean Ambrose, you'd probably be like, that's a good top 5 to have on any brand. So yeah, you're thinking, that's a positive for start. But before I get into the positives and why we should be optimistic about the WWE draft, I'm going to go into about the negatives, the things I didn't really like, because I want to end like on a positive note. So I'm going to get the negatives out of the way. What I didn't agree with, like what I didn't like, was I don't like the divas. Sorry, not the divas. The woman being on separate shows. I kind of not a fan of Becky Lynch or that being on SmackDown. If it was up to me and if I was calling the decisions, I would have not only the cruiserweights on Raw, I would have the women's division on Raw. So you'd have Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Natalia, all of them, all those guys on Raw. So you have, and that sort of covers you the first hour as well on a 3-hour Raw, like the cruiserweights and the women's division. Like you have that to cover the first hour of Monday Night Raw or what, the second hour or whatever. But it gets rid of that horrible sort of third hour that doesn't really work. And for SmackDown, I would have had the tag team division on SmackDown, like, to give it some sort of uniqueness. So you have like the top guys SmackDown have, and you have a really solid tag team division on there. So I would have put the New Day on SmackDown. I would have put Gallows and Anderson on SmackDown without a doubt. I would have put all the Enzo and Cass would have put them on SmackDown. The Dudleys would have put SmackDown. I'm really surprised they ended up on Raw. So yeah, that really annoyed me. But now let's go to the positives. Let's go to the positives. There still could be a trade, and people are, oh no, because like WWE, they've sort of made their decisions now, and if you hear sort of the ins and outs of WWE, the daily managing of it, they do like to change their mind about things a few times, and I wouldn't be surprised if on Sunday at Battleground there's a draft, and you sort of have like Shane and Dan O'Brien on a table opposite Stephanie and Mick Foley, where they're sort of negotiating things. And if it was up to me, I would say, I mean, the tag team division is going to be hard to sort out now. You probably can't have that on one separate brand, which I would have. But I would say if I was booking things, I would try and do a trade where Stephanie and Mick Foley want all the divas from SmackDown, and in trade they'd give SmackDown Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro, which for me, I thought at least two of them would be a dead cert to be on SmackDown. I can't believe all three are on Raw, which is a bit beyond me. I thought for these three people were going to really benefit from. So I got a bit dry mouth. It's really hot here in England. Not used to it. I thought those three would really benefit from the live SmackDown. So I'm a bit surprised that that's happened. So if it's up to me, I would do the whole sort of trade thing, the Divas, swap in with those three, and I think that's a good balance. And you definitely have the women's division and cruiserweights exclusively for Raw, and I think that would kind of work if I'm completely honest. Anyway, I was just checking some things. Yeah, positives. I want to talk about positives. Not many people mention the positives, and what people need to remember is people are saying SmackDown's terrible. I give it. It's not going to last a year before they have to change things again. Maybe if you're lucky, you're going to be changed. I don't feel that at all. You got to remember when SmackDown was in its prime, sort of 2000, 2003, 2004, 2005. They didn't have necessarily the really, really big names. SmackDown was really good for bringing stars out, which is why I'm surprised that some of the guys are on Raw. But you look at guys like people that say it's like the whole two world title things as well. People say that there shouldn't be two world titles if there's brands. There should just be one champion, and I really disagree. I think two titles, if done correctly, it did go a bit south towards the end of the draft the brand stuff last time. But if done correctly, two titles really, really works and helps put guys over. Daniel Bryan, for example, would he be as popular and over with the crowd now if he wasn't a champion first on SmackDown, the World Heavyweight champion, where he did all that stuff with AJ Lee, which is where we really, really started to really like Daniel Bryan. When he won Money in the Bank, everyone was glad he won Money in the Bank, but everyone was a bit surprised because there was not sort of any character really for him. Daniel Bryan was sort of lost in the woods a bit before he won Money in the Bank. No one picked him to win it at all, and then he became a world champion, and that's where because those two world title situations, that's where you really started to see Daniel Bryan become and grow as a character. I mean, people that say that two world titles doesn't work, I'd ask them to look at Eddie Guerrero. I'd ask them to look at CM Punk. I'd ask them to look at Edge. I'd ask them to look at Chris Benoit. I'd ask them to look at Jeff Hardy, Sheamus. These guys would never probably been world champions if there wasn't two brands. We might not have got Eddie Guerrero as a top guy if there was not two brands. And I really think that SmackDown can work. I do have faith that they can give guys like Dolph Ziggler, like Bray Wyatt, and take them to that next level. Hopefully Apollo Crews as well, that I really like the look of, so far, but I just hope they do more with him and utilise him better. So yeah, SmackDown can work, and this whole two world title situation that people seem to really hate the idea of, I disagree. If it's done right, granted, when they had two world titles, most recently, it did lose its sort of prestige a bit, and it wasn't as good as it used to be, but it can work. One of my favourite moments in WWE, in wrestling in general of all time, is the end of WrestleMania 20, when Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit are together as the two world champions hugging in the ring. And, are you going to look at that moment and say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter because, two world titles doesn't work. No, look at the emotion in that moment and just how important both those titles were. And Chris Benoit won the less prestigious world title. And, look at how big that main event was. It wasn't... The WWE Championship was Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, and that wasn't even, the main event of WrestleMania 20. I don't know now what it is because it's been edited probably because getting a whole Benoit out of it. But... I think people just need to give this draft a chance. There is hope. There's stuff that aren't great. There could be a trade. I hope there's a trade. I'm not a fan of the women's sort of switching shows all the time. I think if you're going to have two brands, you need to make them separate and unique. You can't have, and it's going to be the same with the tag titles. Really, you're going to have probably a New Day go on to SmackDown, go on to Raw. They'll be facing the Vaudevillains on SmackDown, then they'll doing the Dudleys on Raw, then going back, maybe do something with American Alpha on SmackDown, and I don't really like that. So I kind of wish the tag team division would have just been solely for SmackDown, and then you had the Cruiserweight and Women's Championship on Raw, which I think would have worked really well. But one thing that I think was really missing with the draft, they sort of let the whole NXT draft thing, something that really something people are really excited about. That was a bit of a down. It started off really well, like for Finn Balor, like straight as one of the Raw picks, and it was like, wow, okay. I really hope we get the big guys now. American Alpha to SmackDown, another great one. But like, if Bailey should have been, I imagine she'll go to Raw now because that's where the main sort of women's wrestlers are going. But Shinsuke Nakamura for SmackDown, I thought even when it was not the non-televised draft, part of me still thought surely they're going to put Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown if Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn aren't going to be on SmackDown. And and it was just like that. I mean, that would have made SmackDown about 25% more sort of worthwhile. To be honest, like imagine you have Shinsuke Nakamura that can go against Bray Wyatt, Shinsuke Nakamura that can go against John Cena, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose, all on SmackDown, and like that's exciting, like more so than him being on Raw, I think. So I think Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown like would have just like put them Raw and SmackDown like pretty much on equal terms. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing in that sense, and Raw has got the better roster. Don't get me wrong. I understand people saying it's a bit annoying that that's happened because SmackDown, they want to make SmackDown as strong. But I don't think it's that big of a gap. I think if SmackDown got 2 or 3 more people, like quality people, if they had like a Shinsuke Nakamura and an Austin Aries go on to SmackDown, it's a lot, it's a lot more relevant. Like they could have really done with like I said, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Sami Zayn on SmackDown, but it's not a million miles away, and everyone seems to be burying it and think of Raw buried SmackDown. I really don't think it's the case at all. And I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I think the brand split's right. I think that's a really good thing to have right now. We've got so many people being underutilized that need this push, and it can work if it's done right. And it's in WWE's hands in a way. Like I'm not going to bury it yet because Raw and SmackDown haven't had their first show separately yet, and so people burying it already I don't really understand. Like people saying SmackDown doesn't look unique at all, like it's the same old, they haven't had, give them a chance. Their priority was to sort the rosters out, and then I would expect at least for a very least SmackDown to have a sort of different look about it next week on their first sort of SmackDown live show. I don't know how I feel about the commentators. I really would love Corey Graves to be on SmackDown with Monaro, but we'll see. We'll give it a go. David Otunga, no fan of. But we'll see. Maybe JBL will calm down a bit on SmackDown. Like at first, I was a fan of JBL in commentary, but he just seemed to go a bit too much and sort of like contradicted himself with certain superstars sometimes. Like, yeah, like that didn't really work. But I'm optimistic. Like, let me know what you guys think. Like, I don't think it's a nightmare. Like, I think like sort of like saying it's over now, like that's it, like there's no way it's going to work. I don't think it's like people just sort of want something to moan about and they're just not willing to give it a go. Like give it a chance. Sorry, give it a chance. Like SmackDown can work. It's not perfect, it's not the strongest start they could have had, but you got to remember they got guys like people like who's going to watch SmackDown. The John Cena fans are going to watch SmackDown. The Randy Orton fans are going to watch SmackDown. I imagine there'll be some sort of cross branding between Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton from going to SummerSlam. Dean Ambrose, I don't expect him to be WWE champion after Battleground, but it's still a top name that makes you want to watch SmackDown. And yeah, I think I would expect hopefully a trade to happen, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. Like this draft can work and people just need to get behind it. Like if I hate people on YouTube that like have already started saying I was right, the drafts are failed, look at the rosters, I was right, I called it, yep, so and so was right, bullshit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like give it a chance, just let this, if it happens, like I'll be the first to say it's failed if like in a couple months, like just before Christmas or something, like going into the fall, like if it's really not working, I'll be the first to say, yeah, they screwed up. But you sort of like at least let them have the chance to screw up before they've done it. Like you don't know what they've got planned. Like Dolph Ziggler could be like a new superstar. Like this could be a really big push for him. Just like give it a go. Like I'm not a fan of the tag team titles. I mean, there won't be two. There won't be 2 women's titles, and there won't be 2 tag team titles. That wouldn't work. Because they haven't got the depth for that. But I think the tag sort of stuff, switching brands, I don't really like. They should have one. Like I said, they should have one tag team division on a certain brand. But give it a go. We'll give it a go, and just be positive. Just let it happen. You never know. Anyway, in close, I'm going to try and do more videos. I'll try and do my battleground predictions beforehand, before the show on Sunday. So I'll try and do it Friday, Saturday. But yeah, like, this is like new to me. Like, I'm giving this a go. Like, I've been a WWE fan for 20 years. I'm up for just like telling you guys my feelings, what I think is going to happen, and trust me. Like, I'm not one of these marks WWE. Like, I didn't watch WrestleMania. Like, I didn't watch WrestleMania just gone because like there was nothing and that's been the first time I haven't watched WrestleMania since WrestleMania 17. I've watched them live ever since WrestleMania 17, but this last one, I didn't watch it live. Like, there was nothing that interested me about it at all. Even Shane vs Undertaker, like, I wasn't convinced. Like, I knew there was going to be a big spot, but there wasn't anything that made one in the UK and stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it. And I watched it in the week a bit later, probably like Tuesday or Wednesday on the network. So I'm not a mark guy, but I think criticising the draft so hard already is a bit much, and it's a bit too far. Anyway, in closing, like me on Facebook or on Wrestle Region. I'll see if I might get some other people to join me, maybe, we'll see. Wrestle Region on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe. I'll put all the links below. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think we should give the draft a chance, or are you one of these people that think that's it? Like, explain to me, like, why is it not even worth a chance to see if it works? I know WWE have got a track record of screwing things up, but I think they mean business, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope to do another video for you soon. Cheers, bye.